Hello, people. Here to yap some more. Anyway, I was thinking, I really do like kind of talking on this just webcam kind of thing. I enjoy it. So, figure, what can I talk about? Because I'll be honest, I just can't keep up the politics. It changes too much, and I don't want to put the time in trying to follow, what they say every day. So, this is too big a subject for me. And when you go on YouTube or you go online, you see that a lot of the people who are doing webcast or when making videos. They talk about not only current events but reality TV, stuff like that, celebrities, which is not very interesting for me, frankly. So I asked myself, what do you want to talk about? What's interesting to you? And so I said, well, let me talk. Let's talk about my city. I live in San Francisco. I love San Francisco. Love the city. I've been here 25 years. Uh, Before that, I lived in LA 15 years. But I choose to be here now. So people look at San Francisco and they say, well, what a wonderful place. I mean, it's so beautiful. The hills and the water, and it's water on three sides of it. And of course, the signature, the bridges and things. Then all of the diversity here, the attitudes towards gay people, huge gay community, and the attitudes in general of the people here towards gay people. I mean, we're uh, accepted as a big part of the history of this town. And so there are a lot of great things about San Francisco. Recently, there's been housing, a building boom, skyrise, high rises going up all over the place. These tech people are coming in with all this money. They're building all over the city. And so from the outside, it looks like a pretty great place to live. And it is in many, many ways. But at the same time, there's an underbelly here. Uh, so I'm talking a little bit about that. And I think I know quite a bit about the streets. But when I got to Los Angeles, I arrived there at 19 years old and hit the streets. I was fortunate enough that I met the right people and kind of didn't experience the streets then. But pretty soon I got involved in drugs, and so I'm very familiar with the street life. So you meet all kind of interesting people, you meet all kind of interesting stories. But the thing about San Francisco is, even though it's very beautiful and clean and nice and everything, the underbelly, there's a lot of crazy people in San Francisco, and I shouldn't say I know I'm going to get all of the. I'm not going to be politically correct with my language, but I don't mean it to be offensive. But a lot of people with mental health issues, and an awful lot of people with drug issues, and a lot of homelessness in San Francisco. It's like recently the city is starting to pay attention. I guess because all the rich people are coming in. They're coming in droves, and they just don't want to see it. And so the city's got is becoming very much aware of the problem. And so I'm going to focus in on the gay kids because that's sort of my community, and that's point of best. If you go out on a Friday night in Castro, that's where I live. I only live in Castro because not because of anything great that I've done. Basically, I got sick and I qualify for certain benefits, and even though I'm still poor as a church mouse, I have a nice place, and me and my dog, we're okay. But the moment you walk out the door, people are screaming in the streets, and a lot of mental health issues there, and I know a lot of it comes from drugs. I know a lot about drugs. I was a drug dealer for many years. I sold drugs in this city for 10 years. Not something I'm proud of. It's something that happens on the streets. Uh, I was a dope fiend, so eventually you either turn to selling drugs or you end up sleeping under bridges. So I chose the latter. But the situation with these kids on the streets, a lot of these kids, it just breaks my heart because a lot of these people I'm talking about, I mean, they're hardly even 21 years old. Teenagers, young people. By the time, if they don't get it together by the time they're 25, it's like it's a lost cause. You start losing the teeth, and you're not employable. You're usually strung out on something by that time. So, and you have to ask yourself, why does this continually happen? And it happens disproportionately to a lot of gay kids. And of course, we all know that a lot of these families, they're even in the year 2016, are rejecting their family members. and throwing them out onto the streets, ill, not prepared. These kids have been emotionally abused. You look at somebody walking around with no shoes on, and filthy, dirty, and things like that. That's more than just they got high, because there are a lot of people who get high and still function. The issue is the lack of support. The lack of support, I think, is the issue. I think if we don't have gay parents, 90% of us don't have gay parents. So these are failures on the parents' part, because what you're doing, you're flinging your children away based on some prejudice that's been pumped into you for your entire life. I feel like this: if you are not going to love your kids, if you're not going to love them unconditionally, if you're not going to support them, then don't have them. I mean, you're against abortion. You're if you're not going to support your children, don't have them. People say, "Oh, I support him until he turned to that. I don't support that lifestyle." What lifestyle? That's the only person you've ever known. Gay people don't even they don't become gay at some point. I didn't. I knew I was gay at 8 years old. Knew it distinctly, even though I didn't know what gay. I never even knew what the word gay meant. But I knew I was homosexual from 8 years old. Now that's not something that happened when I was 8 years old. I became aware of my own self at 8 years old, years before there was any sex life. Years before that. And so you've only known a gay person. They've always been gay. Their job was to hide it from you long enough to get out of there. Now, there's a mystery of why a lot of straight. I mean, there are straight people on the street also. I mean, I'm not going to try to bring all on the parents, but things happen when you make these kids so uncomfortable in their home environment that all they desire to do is get away from you. It's pretty awful. And so, you hit the streets. You got no money. You ain't got no skills. A lot of times you bullied so bad in school that was not a place where you really applied yourself. Parents, they support their not all parents, because there's a lot of gay people who are very successful. My doctors, well, I don't put him out there, but a lot of gay professionals who have had to support. But what about the ones? I want to talk about the ones who are not getting support. Why would you come to a place where you know that medium rent is $3,500 a month? Where you can get that from? But it still seems a hell of a lot better than being in some of the places that they're leaving. So come to these cities, you end up on the streets. You realize at some point that, oh, people will give me money if I have sex with them. Well, that's all you basically got. And so that's kind of your start in this gay thing if you don't have the support of your family. So I think it doesn't just stop at 18. It's not like 18 and get out kind of thing. A lot of people need a lot more support. A lot of people have mental health issues. And then you said you love them, but all of a sudden you stop loving them, and now you're in denial because you're not accepting the possibility of what is going on with your child. You can't think about it. You can't allow yourself to think about it, because then you would feel like that you're a horrible person. Which, and I hate to say it, in parenting, you're not successful, and you're not successful not because the person is gay, because that is something that always was. They were always gay. You just didn't know it. But you're not successful because you didn't equip your child to go out into the world. It's a real thing. People are going to send me hateful comments and stuff. I really don't care. It's the truth. It's the truth. If you're heterosexual kids, I imagine you save up for 20 years. What would you save up most of your life for the college fund, you call it? Or you figure out a way for them to go to school, to be educated. When it's time for them to get their own place, you're there to help them with whatever it takes to get into an apartment. If they meet somebody, they meet a girl, you're there for them the newlyweds to move into your house, your basement, until they save enough money to get their own place or get a condo. You do a lot of stuff with it. I just know how that is. But a lot of that stops when you find out that your child is homosexual. That's a failure. That's a failure. And then if you come to some of these, it's just like going to a hospital when you feel like you're very sick and you go to the hospital and see what sick really is. You need to get out of your comfort zone and come down into these streets and see, look into the face of some of these homeless people, and then let yourself imagine, this is probably what's going on with my son, who I threw away. Sad is awful. Uh, People are trying to do. I mean, obviously, drugs is the big issue. I mean, I know that, but there are certain things in place that would allow you to not care about yourself, to allow you to allow yourself to get hooked into drugs. Now, if you become a serious drug addict, I'll talk about only what I know. Meth. I've had friends who are heroin addicts and crack addicts. After you get strung out, that's pretty much it. I mean, unless you can get off at some point in your life, and a lot of people don't ever get off; they die like that. But I think we need to work on why is this person getting in the position where they're strung out? Because after you're strung out, it's just about dope. I mean, you choose that over reality. So anyway, I didn't want to come in here and be just sad Sally, but it's just so much of it here. It's just all over San Francisco. Uh, I guess it was all over LA too, but it was not so visual there. LA's got all these vast spaces, so a few people on this part of town and a few people in that part of town and so forth. But San Francisco is all right here. Everybody from the rich to the poor, all in the same neighborhood. And so I just want people to think about what you're doing to your kids, because you never known a straight kid. If you have a child that's a homosexual, you have never, that as far as that person goes, you have never known them as a straight person. You have known them at a time where they didn't have a sexuality or they weren't aware of any sexuality, but they were already who they were. Even if they find out at 8, like I did, that's just when they came to realize who they are. And then they fight to try to hide who they are just to be among you. This is your child. This is your child. Don't throw your kids away, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think I was kind of fortunate. I was not obviously homosexual when I was a kid raised in Indiana, so I can kind of delay it and hide and whatever. And I came out in Los Angeles, so I was sort of an adult, 19 years old, like that. And my mother, she did the best she could. When they found out that I was gay, I was already living in California, so I really don't. I haven't even allowed myself to experience the rejection and uh, uh, nasty looks or nasty ideas, and it's certainly not church stuff because that really sends me into something. The ridiculousness of that is the basis for why you hate, and it's not all church people, because there are atheists who have a similar reaction to homosexual kids. But I, I just want to say, when you reject your family, you know what it takes to become a man. I mean, there's a lot of starts and stops and calling home for help and things. We don't have any of that. It's just the streets. And even though when you come here and somebody tell you cute and whatever, oh, this is worth money, and you sell yourself, they're not gonna pay for that for a short window. So then what you have now? You're 25. That career is over because nobody's gonna pay you to have no sex with you. They can get somebody fresher. And so then what you got? You're not educated. You know, you've been exposed to all these drugs, and it's escapism. And you're ending up laying out here in the street. So okay, so that's a depression. Can I end this on a happy note? Is there a happy note? Not as far as the gay youth on the streets. It's not only gay youth, but every time I see one of these guys who are really, really in bad shape, and where do they come from? Why is this better than where they came from? Why wouldn't they go back? The life you provided for them is more hideous. It's deeper in the gutter. And so it's just something to think about. It's amusing. Uh, and I don't know. I brought myself down now, so I'll just leave it at that. Think about what you're doing, people. Think about what love is. You say you love somebody. What does it mean? That's it.